This one.
Yep.
Loosen up.
Maybe not.
We know that you're live, Chris.
I know
that you're live.
I try to catch you all the time.
You couldn't do it.
We're going to have to switch.
You couldn't do it.
I couldn't help myself.
It is a good try.
What you didn't know was that I was recording that entire conversation we just had.
Oh, well, that's just dangerous.
All right, let's do it. Oh, yeah, we got a lot of shit to talk about tonight, man. If you guys could just be here for the pre-show, you know what? Maybe we'll do a subscription-only pre-show, but I got to warn everybody, the pre-show, it is completely uncensored.
Yep, it's
so
unfiltered.
If you are sensitive in any way, you're not going to want to do that. But we'll talk about that later. Right now, I want to welcome you to the Sports Porch, the Pittsburgh edition. Thank you for being here.
Welcome.
We are right now all over the world on social media. We are on Facebook. We are on LinkedIn. We are on YouTube. We are on Twitter/X. We'll talk about that later. And, of course, we drop the podcast right after the show. And where can you listen to the podcast, Schwaber?
theporcheslive.com.
That's right. Theporcheslive.com. Theporcheslive.com. And what I really meant is on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your freaking podcasts. That's where you can listen to the podcast.
Well, you should have asked that.
Sorry about that.
You didn't specify.
Sorry about that. So
that's your line anyway.
Thanks for being here, guys. Look, this is our third week. If you're watching us live on social media, grab that phone number down at the bottom on the ticker, 412-805-7236. You can get in as part of the show. We love to have it. Also, you can chat with us during the show. And I want to thank everybody who listens to the Buccos Report after every Pirates game on the podcast, the Sports Porch podcast on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, or anywhere. You know, they suck right now, but I've been enjoying it.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. And this is what I want to do. We're going to talk about a lot tonight. So obviously we're going to talk about the Buccos. We're going to talk about the Pirates. The trade deadline's coming up in just a few days. And, you know, there's a lot of things that are going to happen. There's a lot of speculation. We have our opinions. We want to know what your opinion is. And then we're going to move on because thank God camp is starting.
Woo, football. Woo! NFL is back in town, baby.
We mentioned on another show. We mentioned on another show that we're jonesing, like I'm starting to get the shakes now.
Oh, yeah. It's right around the corner.
We're going to talk about that. So this is the first subject. Okay, trade deadline. Who do the Buccos trade at the deadline? Keller, Bednar, Kutch, Santana. Tell us what you think at 412-805-7236 or in the comments. And of course, you know, earlier today that it was mentioned that the Pirates are starting to tell teams that Bednar is available. Look, that makes complete sense. There's no reason to have him on the roster.
They're saying he's available, but only for the right price, which is going to be very steep because he's under control till 2027.
Yeah, so they could get a haul for him.
Well, I thought it was really more like they were saying he's not that available.
Who knows with these idiots?
Yeah, you don't know. That's absolutely true. But I mean, they did say they're listing the offers for him.
Yeah,
unlike
and they should.
Unlike Kutch,
yeah,
I guess they're not even going to talk to people about Kutch.
I find that believable, but hard to believe if you understand what I'm saying. DG is in the house. What's up, DG?
David,
thank you for being here.
Welcome to the porch.
Man.
So you know what? Let's just start with Bednar. Should they trade Bednar?
Should they?
Yeah.
No, I don't think they should.
Really?
No. What's the point? I mean, they're going to stink this year, right?
That's the reason you trade him.
No.
If you plan on being good at any point in your future, you need somebody who can save a game.
That's right.
Right. And they seem to be a dime a dozen now.
They do seem to be a dime a dozen. So I guess it all depends on whether they feel like they have somebody who can step in and you know, be that person. If they are, then sure, of course, you always should trade when it comes to that sort of thing. But I just don't see who that would be. It seems like they've always traded away their relief pitcher like the past 3 or 4 that they've had.
Yeah, Melancon.
Yeah,
Melanson.
I know. Melancholy, melancholy.
But I mean, this team is built not for this year. We all knew that. They're not even really built for next year.
Yeah.
Next year is when you want to see some growth.
Right.
We thought we were going to see it this year with the great start that they had. It's like, oh, maybe this year is next year, but actually this year was just this year.
Oh, also, don't forget about
that's a great quote. This year was next year, but what ended up happening was this year was this year.
Actually, there was some breaking news today. What didn't they extend Shelton?
No,
again? No, before that they did that back in May.
Yeah, they did that. They did that many months ago when they were really good. Actually,
big mistake.
They were talking about it today, though.
Yeah,
well, they might have been talking about how it was a big.
Maybe
mistake.
they actually released, what the. Because I never really heard, like, was it a year? Was it 2 years? Was it just for this year?
I don't know.
I mean, they never really announced what the extension was.
Yeah.
Maybe they went into details about it, but that's irrelevant really when it comes to the Pirates, because if they do get good, not this year, not next year, but probably the next year, they'll need a new coach. I mean, he's clearly not good.
He's horrible.
Yeah.
I think that. And if you listen to the Buccos report, I complain about it all the time. Okay, Bednar, I think they should trade him. I do, because I think they need some capital. They need.
What do you mean by capital?
I think they need to get some younger players that have the potential to be different kinds of hitters, because this lineup right now is filled with aging veterans who can't hit anymore the way. And listen, everybody's a fan of Kutch. He doesn't hit the way he used to.
Well,
okay?
That's true. I mean, but he was supposed to be a rental player.
I understand.
Just to get seats. People in the seat.
They need
and it worked.
They need a big guy that can hit a home run. They need a guy that can hit for average. They need a guy who's a prototypical leadoff hitter. They've screwed around with that spot. We'll talk about that in a second.
I hear Ohtani's available.
They need a 1 through 9 hitter in the lineup.
They do. They need a 1 through 9 and
5 starting pitchers.
Right. And
so wait, are you souring on Sawinski?
No, I'm not, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But
because I mean, you're kind of talking about him.
In a way, yes. Yeah. But back to Bednar. And if you're going to be true to a guy like Bednar, who's a hometown boy, he pitched for Mars High School. Send him to a team that has a shot at making the playoffs, because it's not a given that they're going to be any better next year. It's just not. We know that.
That's true.
We know that.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's also not a given.
I mean, they'll have a real starting pitcher maybe next year.
Right. And maybe. And this Skeens thing is way too off the charts for me. And we could talk about that too. But there's not a.
He's a number 1 pick. It should be off the charts.
No. All right.
They
gave him almost $10 million.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to be somebody they put into the lineup next year.
People have wasted money on lesser players. So I'm just saying
the Pirates have. That's for sure.
Absolutely. That Bednar should be given the chance to pitch with meaning, because when he does get a chance, he gives it his all. I mean, he is a good relief pitcher. He could be a great closer. He's just not getting enough chances to actually put up the numbers to be a great closer. I mean, his stats say he's great, but a guy like him needs to finish the year with 37, 40 saves, and then it's like, man, he's a great closer.
If he was pitching every other night, maybe he would be horrible.
Yeah,
actually,
I don't know. I mean, you just don't know because he's never really done it.
There is something to that. Like when I watch him pitch, he doesn't look like he's throwing with a lot of velocity.
But he is,
and he always puts players on base.
Yeah. Well, the game the other night that they won 3-0. He walked the first guy, hit the next guy, struck out that next guy, then walked the next guy, bases loaded, and there was a comebacker to the mound that he threw to Rodriguez to get the out at home, and Rodriguez threw it up the first, get the out. That's how he pitches. But the point about him is
they're actually using one of their rookie catchers.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too.
Wow.
The point about Bednar is that it doesn't matter if there's nobody on base or the bases are loaded. He doesn't change his approach. He doesn't. It doesn't phase him.
Well, most relievers are like that, right? They have a routine, and regardless of who's on or what's happening, they know what they're going to be doing.
Yeah. So I think I hate to say it, because I wish the Pirates were better and they could use him for what he's really meant for, which is big games that mean something, not we got to get out of this slump. So I say trade him.
Well,
I say
Mark's
give
going to
him
have
a
to
shot.
be the tiebreaker here.
Yeah.
Trade
You say
or
no,
keep?
I say yes, right?
I say keep him. You say trade him.
I say keep him. I mean, but at the same time, I don't know that he's actually as good as this year he's having. He might be just having a career year.
No, he was just as good last year.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, yeah, he was an all-star last year.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, this year he was a replacement all-star.
All right.
Yeah.
So you say keep him. Okay. So 2-1, you guys.
I say keep him.
All right.
Next.
So let's talk about Kutch. Now, I know, first of all, Kutch has stated, I don't want to play anywhere else, which pretty much means he wants to finish his career here, which pretty much means he's either going to retire after this year
Right.
or sign another 1-year deal. Okay. So I get that.
That makes sense.
I also get that they would respect his wishes. Okay. But let's take,
I don't get that, but
I get it from the standpoint of they're saying, okay, you're reaching the end of your career and we'd love to have some more good feelings from the fans. And
yeah,
you
but
retire a Pirate.
when have the Pirates the organization ever done anything that's good for players?
Okay. I don't want to go down that road because
Okay,
you're not
I'm
going to
just
get an
saying-
argument. You're not going to get an argument.
I'm just saying,
Right.
like, I don't understand why they wouldn't want to trade him. Like, they've screwed so many players over in the past. What's another guy?
So
Unless they know he's literally going to retire at the end of the season and they're going to have a press conference about it. And the last 5 games are at home. They're going to sell out because everybody wants to see Kutch. That would be the only reason they would want to keep him.
And maybe he's moving into the front office.
yeah,
Yeah,
who knows?
right. Maybe something
So
like
let's
that.
go back to throw all of that out. Let's say that none of that was ever discussed. Would you trade Kutch right now?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, because he's already done what they wanted him to do,
Right.
which was have some hype at the beginning of the season,
Right.
put some fans who normally wouldn't come into the ballpark. You okay there, Mark?
Make and do.
Okay, good. I mean,
he had to slam dinner down before the first show.
Yeah.
And I had to remind him about chewing with his mouth open. Yeah.
That is
so he
not
might
true.
That
That is
he might
true.
actually have
It's
some.
not true.
What are you talking about?
You just saying that because you know Amy's going to laugh.
I did ask
Well,
if Amy
yeah,
ever got on him about it, and he went sometimes. Anyway, so yes, I would trade Kutch.
Yeah, I would absolutely trade him.
Schwaber.
I wouldn't trade Kutch, but I'd trade McCutcheon.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would trade him to put him on a team where he has a chance to win and also to see what I could get for him.
Yeah. I agree.
Here's one. This is totally controversial and no predictions. And just want to remind everybody, look, we're 30 plus year buddies. We're just like you guys. We sit around and talk sports. The only reason we call ourselves experts is because we're experts on slinging bullshit.
Oh yeah.
But that's what you do when you talk you talk to your friends and you talk about sports. That's what this show is about. So
you don't have to analyze it. Just talk your feelings.
Yeah, just give us your feelings. That's what we say.
That's all we care about.
Mitch Keller. Would you trade him?
No, I wouldn't trade Keller.
No.
Well, I mean, I know he's going through a rough patch now.
Well, we got Paul Skeens coming up. He's the next Nolan Ryan.
Hey, here's breaking news. They need more than one pitcher.
You start 5.
And
yeah.
Keller is turning out to, not be doing very good.
He's
in the second
turning
half.
into shit again.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, that would be a reason to get rid of him if they think he's totally lost his shit. But I don't think he has. I just think, you're playing for the Pirates, so it's frustrating. I think he's going through a rough patch. I think they just need to keep him. I think he'll get better after the trade deadline when they keep him, because that will be out of his head.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just think that gets in anybody's head. Like, let's say, you thought you were going to move, your company was going to move, and you're like, I can't even really focus. Like, what if I got to buy a new house? What if I got to move the family? Like, I just think that's what's happening to him now.
Sticks in your craw.
Yeah, sticks in your craw. Excellent, Mark.
It's the new Sports Porch. It sticks in your craw.
I wouldn't get rid of him. I think he's good. I think he's good enough to be a starter for this team. Maybe might be a 4th or 5th starter on a really good team, But for the Pirates, he'd be a first or second starter.
Yeah, well, he's got an
an
arbitration year coming up, and they were talking extension with him, or there was speculation about should he be extended, and it's funny how right after the All-Star break,
if I was him, I wouldn't extend. Not with the Pirates.
Yeah,
hell no,
not at all.
I'd just go to arbitration and get my $20 million.
That's why I'm saying, would you trade him now because he is fast fading? And
no, because I think you just take him to arbitration. That way he gets his $20 million. You get him for another year, and if he's good, then
but they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay somebody $20 million.
They don't want to pay anybody any million.
Yeah,
but the reality is when they paid $10 million for schemes, they clearly recognize that good talent has to be paid more than like $2 million.
Well, when you're the first pick overall, you have to be paid.
Yeah,
there's no way around it.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So I just think that's why I wouldn't get rid of him.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about that because of the arbitration issue and the other things we talked about, and that his value as a trade piece right now is for a franchise that looks to not spend money. I think looking forward, this is something that would not surprise me. So, okay, Carlos Santana.
Gone. I don't even have to think about that. Just get rid of him now.
Yeah.
He's occupying a space that can easily be put on by
Jack Sawinski.
Yeah.
Or outright release him.
Yeah. Yeah, you think so? Just dump him. Just dump him on the sidewalk.
Would you please take him away from us?
Yeah. So and I would trade Santana too. The question with Santana is what do you really get back for a guy who's a career 240 hitter and his best year was like 26 home runs?
Well,
that's a long
I don't know.
time ago.
Maybe they can fill up the soda machine.
The bottom.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Or the pop machine.
The pop machine.
The bottom line though is that there's countless guys who go on to become stars who were throw-ins in the deal.
That's true.
For sure. Yeah. So, not just in baseball.
Yeah. So you just, you take a stab at a throw-in and maybe you hit pay dirt.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody that comes to mind that you think, they should trade, they could trade? Hedges. I don't think anybody wants him.
No, nobody wants him. Once again, get rid of him for sure. You got two catchers who can play his role.
You just signed Reynolds. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't trade him.
No, you got to let him play out this year and next year.
Yeah.
If next year they're not relevant and he wants to get out of here, get him out of here.
Rich Hill.
Somebody will take him.
Yeah, he's like 45 years old. Right?
Well, the thing about Rich Hill is this, 43. But the thing about oldest player in the more major leagues right now. But the thing about Rich Hill, after watching him pitch all year long, is he is just absolutely the poster boy for the savvy veteran who gives you innings, doesn't really get flapped, and understands that you have to pitch through issues. And in spite of his kind of bloaty ERA in the mid to high fours, he keeps you in games and he will get you to the sixth inning. And that's the kind of back of the rotation guy that or even come in. He might even be good as a change of pace coming in long relief on a team that is a playoff contender.
Yeah.
The question again is, what do you get back for him? And like you said, Schwaber, there's a lot of throw-in guys.
Yeah. He's an inning eater.
Yes.
That serves a purpose in the regular season, and then you leave him off your playoff roster.
Right. And he's a pro. He's a pro, and I feel every time he pitches, I feel horrible for the guy.
Well, that's why I think somebody would probably want him.
Probably.
Every team in the playoffs wants more pitching, right?
Yeah.
And if he's a veteran guy and he knows how to get out there and give a good inning or two, he's valuable. So I think he'd definitely be worth throwing in with somebody else.
What about no Holderman?
I thought about that. And
I don't even know who you're talking.
Holderman,
but
I don't know who he is.
I give him the nickname No Holderman.
He was in he
doesn't get holds.
He did. He played for the Mets. He played really well for them. The Pirates brought him in the beginning of the year. He was part of that bullpen where you brought him in, and he was your setup guy.
I got you.
And he was pitching really well. Then he got injured, and when he came back, it took him a few games, and they were horrible innings. But the last couple times he's been out there, it seems like he's found his groove again.
And he's a lefty, isn't he?
Holderman is a lefty.
Well, I'd say a guy like, while you're looking that up, I'd say a guy like that, if they went to get him and he's pretty good, why give him up? Like, you know, if he's good for like the next 2 or 3 years,
he's a righty. Colin Holderman, he's a righty.
He could fit into the picture next year. I wouldn't give a guy like that away.
Yeah, but he's the kind of guy you could get value.
I don't care. I don't think they need any more value. That's my point.
But they need to have
that's
players.
Their
mantra,
I get it.
Though. Yeah.
I know. I'm trying to break that, because remember at the beginning of the season I said, watch, they're going to be terrible. They're going to sell everybody off. They're going to have to start from scratch again. You got to keep some of these guys year after year, at least a couple, 3 years in a row, especially if you're not looking to win this year or next year. You got to keep some of these players together so they can figure out how to play together as a team.
Right.
And if you're constantly remaking the team, there is no team. You know what I
you're
mean?
Filled with some great shit tonight. What did he say earlier? If you're constantly remaking
this
the
year,
team, there is no team.
Yes.
This year was this year.
This year was this year, not next year, which is this year.
I think you changed it, but it was still just as prophetic.
Yes. But the bottom line of the Pirates are they can't sell everybody off. You should sell off.
Sure, they can.
No, they should. Well, they do try from year to year, and that's the problem with the Pirates. They got to keep some of their younger players, and some of the players they went to get, even if they're not that great. They have to figure out a way to make them work. And the old guys say goodbye.
Yeah.
You move on.
I'm ready
from the old guys.
I'm ready for Steelers talk.
There you go. Well, listen, guys.
I think a lot of people are ready for
the
Steelers.
comments are really, really quiet tonight. Usually we have a ton of comments.
Well, Richard's not here.
Well, and it's also the dead zone still. And, listen, 412-805-7236. This is a talk show. Get yourself on the air with us and tell us what you think. Okay, I'm going to have
by the way, before we move away from the Pirates, I just wanted to announce that I will be going to a Pirates game.
Nice. Really? Which one?
August 11th. I got a free ticket with some other boys that I spent some time with at another job. And
that would be the Boy Scouts.
I'm going.
Maybe.
No, actually, I have friends other than you guys. Believe it or not. Sorry to break your hearts. I know. I just wanted to announce it over here, over the the airways here, so that everybody knows I do have other friends.
The question is
Wrong.
Kiefer.
No.
Molly McButter.
No.
McButter. The question is, are you able to be as vulnerable with those friends as you are with us?
Oh yeah, but in a different way. You know, we kind of razz about like work stuff.
Really?
Old work stuff.
Yeah.
Not new work stuff, but
this
old
is the
work
engineering crew.
Do you wear dresses?
We will not wear dresses, but I can tell you their feelings about the Pirates are very similar to ours.
Geez, that's a surprise.
I thought you weren't going to give Nutting any of your money.
Yeah, it's a free ticket. So are you not going to buy anything?
Oh no, I'm going to buy a beer or four.
Really? Yeah, beer or four.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to be at.
I mean, come on. I mean, you got to go to the stands because otherwise they wouldn't employ anybody.
You're doing it for the people.
DG says we're quiet because we're all still reeling from that Dicks on 6 comment earlier. What show was that on? Was that this show? That was the Philly show.
That's where you get yourself in trouble.
Yeah. Listen,
it happens.
First of all, I'm a professional at that, and second of all, I take it very seriously. Okay, one last comment from me on.
By the way, I don't know who they're playing that game, but it doesn't really matter.
Can we not have one last comment from you on the Buccos?
No, you have to have one last comment from me.
I want to do it. Torture us.
Good try.
A minute longer.
Steve asked me a question. He said, "Are you souring on Sawinski?"
I did,
and I want to respond to that. No, I'm not souring on Sawinski at all. I made this comment on the Buccos report actually for last night's game. And the comment that I talked about was the fact that when you have a team and 2 out of the 3 leading batting statistics are batting average, home runs, runs batted in.
Yeah.
Okay. Team leaders, batting average, Kutch, 267. Home runs, Jack Sawinski, 20. RBIs, Jack Sawinski, 51.
Mhm.
Why in the hell are you sitting him?
Right.
He is your best. His average is not great,
Not good.
but he is your best hitter.
He is.
He is your best hitter.
Power hitter on the team.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And he's not your best power
By
hitter,
far.
so terrible, but he's the best at like 12 home runs halfway through the season.
Right.
He has a legitimate shot, or had a legitimate shot, at 40 home runs.
Yeah.
And he needs every at bat he can get.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree
absolutely.
with that.
So what
Yeah.
do you do? What do you do? Oh, let's bat Connor Joe first.
Connor
Okay.
Joe.
Connor Joe, who shouldn't even be on the damn team, to be honest with you.
CJ.
Brad is in the house.
Connor
Brad
Joe.
Trombley, welcome to the show.
Brad,
Thank
you
you.
use that term loosely.
Give us our gentleman. Yeah. Obviously.
I
I'm
don't know
not
what
a
show
gentleman.
you're listening to, Brad.
But Connor Joe, Connor Joe is batting leadoff, and then what do? The last two games, okay. I think yesterday's game, yesterday's game, they pinch hit for Connor Joe in the leadoff spot with Sawinski in, like, I don't know, the 7th or 8th inning. But most of the time, what happens is, he's got Connor Joe leading off, and then he pinch hits Jack Sawinski in the 9th inning. Okay, the guy is cold on the bench.
Right.
All right. He already has a little bit of an issue with strikeouts.
Right.
Okay. He's a freaking power hitter. You can't have a power hitter come in cold off the bench in the 9th inning when you need 3 runs.
Well, maybe they're trying to injure him.
Look,
He should be swinging the bat in the cages in the back.
maybe he is, but that's not the same as live pitching. I mean,
No.
Schwab's just
No, well, I'm glad to
Look,
hear you're not souring
no
on Sawinski,
way,
because
no
I
way.
think he plays an integral part of this team moving forward.
he's getting a raw deal.
well,
Jack Sawinski is getting
once
a
again,
raw
he
deal.
plays for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
The Pirates are not making the playoffs. They're not winning the Central Division.
True.
They're most likely, it's going to be a challenge for them to win 70 games.
Yeah.
Okay.
To stay out of the basement.
the way they're going now, they're definitely going to. I don't think they're. I think they're staying in the basement. Listen, sue me if I'm wrong. Sawinski's number just hasn't. DG says Sawinski's number just hasn't been called lately during Sheldon's daily baseball lineup bingo. Exactly. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So get this guy.
That's what I'm saying.
Get this guy at bats.
Son.
Yep.
Oh, I like that kind of party.
Hit the wrong
Sawinski,
button. I hit the
they've
wrong
just
button.
been giving Sawinski a box of rocks.
Yeah.
They have.
Yeah.
They really have. He needs to be batting number 5 or maybe number 6 when he's struggling every damn night. And he's fast on the base paths, and he plays a
Fleet
great
of foot.
he plays a great
He gets in your crawl.
okay. This is stuck in my crawl right now.
It is. It is.
All right.
Let's move on.
Listen,
Come on.
Pirates, Shelty, Nutting, Charrington, if you're listening to me, listen
And
to
we
me.
know you are.
Okay. Sawinski needs to play every damn game.
Chris
All right.
Klein
That's,
for
Every damn
manager.
that's it.
game.
All right.
Chris Klein for manager.
Last thing I want.
I'm
last thing.
surprised he's not wearing his O's.
Yeah.
That's only coming when they win the World Series. I'm not jinxing
well,
anything.
I guess we're not
I'm
seeing it this
jinxing
year.
anything.
Oh, so
I
it
just
finally
wanna-
comes out. He
Hey,
thinks
listen,
they're winning the
listen,
World
Here you go.
Series.
Listen, DG.
There you go. DG's
DG,
got
I want to
got
thank
the
you for
O.
that, DG. DG sent us all, our favorite teams and these beautiful, what do you call them? Water mugs, coffee, hot mugs, dugout.
You can put
mugs,
all
whatever.
kinds of things. Whiskey goes well in it. I
There's
can tell you that.
A lot of things we were talking about before the show, but it would take an effort.
A lot of effort.
So listen, DG, ever since you sent me this, they've done better. So it's staying right here. I thank you for that.
Is that a bird wearing a hat?
It is a bird wearing a hat. That's right.
On a hat?
That's right. Yep.
Hmm.
Yep.
Sounds
Yep.
like an infinite regress.
And all right. And yours truly, this Friday night, I will be at the Buccos game right behind home plate.
Let's go.
It was my Father's Day gift from my wife, right behind home plate, so you can see me if you
This
watch the
Friday?
game. Yeah, this
Oh,
Friday.
I'm gonna watch
Playing
the whole
the Phillies.
game.
Playing the Phillies.
I'm watching the whole
Yep,
game.
I'm gonna give you the finger. Watch.
Whoa.
I'm gonna be like,
I'm
hey,
gonna watch.
Steve. Yeah.
I'm- This is gonna be my first game that I watch.
I love it. Okay.
From beginning
All
to
right.
end.
All right.
I might invite Kiefer over.
All right. Please do. Okay, your Buccos report after every Pirates game on the podcast on iHeart, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, guys, for listening. I actually do enjoy doing it, and I enjoy getting.
I think the fact that you spent
That's a
30
lie.
minutes talking Pirates is remarkable.
It is remarkable.
I mean, it's talent. It's a skill.
Thank you. Wow,
Yeah.
a rare comment from Mark Schwab.
I mean, he did say we're great at bullshitting.
Yeah, that
I
is
mean,
true.
and
Yeah.
30
Yeah.
minutes is nothing for a good bullshit.
I mean, I found it
yeah.
to be remarkable.
yeah,
Let's move on. Come on, we're talking about training camp. I am jonesing for some training camp.
Yeah, let us do that. Listen, if you want to get keep the music going.
No.
Whoa, that was music? I couldn't tell.
Steve,
I'm here.
what are you looking forward to this training camp season?
Yeah,
Well-
what's going on, buddy?
I tell you, there are two things that I got my eye on when we pull into Latrobe, when the Stillers are pulling into Latrobe. First thing I'm looking for is who's going to show up in a Bentley on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Who's going to show up?
Najee.
Who's going to show up? Well, I don't think so. He says the running backs are poor.
Okay.
So I don't think he's going to
Right,
be showing up in a Bentley. I think he's going to be showing up like in a Ford Escort just to prove a point.
He's going to be coming late from his Zoom meeting.
No, I think the Zoom meeting is now over. No, but here are the two things that I am going to be looking for in training camp. One is the battle at the left tackle between Dan Moore Jr. and our first round pick, Mr. Broderick Jones.
Broderick Jones.
I think that's probably going to be the biggest. That's going to be the biggest battle that I think is going to be happening on the offensive side. But I also think it's going to be interesting what's going to happen with the third wide receiver position. You know, Calvin Austin III was highly touted in last year's camp, and then he got hurt, and then he was out for the season. The guy is supposedly super fast, unbelievably talented, and they brought in Allen Robinson. So I think that's a really interesting spot to watch, the third wide receiver position. And lastly, of course, you know, everybody's I really don't care about Canada's offense anymore. I'm not even going to say Canada's a terrible offensive coordinator from this point on, because I think everybody recognizes that.
Yeah, it actually hurts to talk about that.
Right. So I'm just not even going to look at that. The only thing I'm going to look at is Kenny Pickett throwing the ball outside of the red zone into the end zone, or is he not? And that's the last thing I'm going to be looking for.
Yeah.
Because they haven't really done it to date. And when they have, Pickett's not been good with it. So
here's the thing I think about when I think about the Steelers and all of the hype. You've got a fan base, and you know I always like to talk about the fan base here. You've got a fan,
it's a big one.
Yeah, you've got a fan base that is used to 17, 18, maybe even 19 years of, you know, pretty good football play earlier in that time frame, you know, Super Bowls, Hall of Fame quarterback, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And I was listening to some of the other sports shows, and they brought up a pretty good point. The time between Terry Bradshaw and the next good Steelers team was, you know, fairly significant. It was 12, 13 years. 14. Thank you. You would know.
Yes,
and,
I would.
And
I lived through them.
Yeah. And we lived through you.
That's true. I was in college.
I know.
Was going on.
Go Steelers, Bobby
was fun to watch, but man, that guy was not talented.
No.
Tommy Gunn.
Tommy Gunn. Cordell Stewart.
Cordell. Tommy Gunn was short-lived.
Yeah, he was.
Year in a game, I think.
He was like the Don Majewski. What was him? Magic Man. Magic Man. Thank you. Anyway. And what they're basically saying was, you know, there's such high expectations right now. And what I think is interesting is when they talk about Calvin Austin III.
Right.
Okay. He was drafted 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He got injured. He didn't play.
Right.
There should be no hype around this guy.
No, there's no hype around
There
him.
is hype around. If you listen to the media, they're hyping him. They're
Well-
like, "Oh, he's going to fit in. He's going to be really fast and blah blah." I mean, no, I no hype.
No.
We don't even know if he can catch the football.
Well,
I mean,
that's true.
obviously
We
he
haven't.
can,
we
but-
actually haven't seen him.
Right.
Period.
And
Nobody's seen him play
and-
NFL football yet.
And
Therefore, there can be no hype about it.
that's right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is they're saying,
Look,
we've
I think
got a great receiving core. No, we don't.
They
We
got-
don't have a great receiving core.
Well, I think they actually do have a pretty good. I didn't say great. I'm
I mean,
not going to say great.
Chime in here, Mark.
I think that,
I'm playing
with,
devil's advocate.
Fry-
chime in.
with Freiermuth is your tight end.
Below average.
No, he's average.
Below average stats.
He's average and trending up. Actually,
okay. All
I'll
right.
be honest with
All
you.
I'd
right.
agree with that.
Okay.
Average
and
trending up.
but I mean he's
Okay,
he's,
average.
he's
I'll give you
not
average.
he's not as good as Goddard. Let's just throw it out.
Yeah, well, we know that.
But he's nobody's as good as Kelsey. I mean,
Right, of
Kelsey's
course.
here and everybody else.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
here,
yeah.
right.
He's
So I mean, let's just put it into perspective.
okay.
But he is trending up.
Okay, whatever. Next, go on.
So good tight end. The 3 wide receivers they have, Deontay can. Everybody says he runs one of the best routes in the league, right?
Backwards.
He
That's
does.
just after he catches the
He
ball.
does
Yeah,
run
garbage.
backwards, but he does catch it. But once again, they don't throw the ball deep. So maybe he only catches the ball because he's like that. And the reality is Pickens is an unknown. Like, is he going to turn into Claypool this year? Who
No.
in his second year was
I would say
garbage?
no. Yeah, I would say no to
Or
that.
or is he actually something special? So that's if there should be any hype, it should be on him because he's the guy who's got to take Pickett to the next level.
Yep.
In a deep ball situation all the time. Like
Okay.
every game. So then I just named the
Allen
other two guys.
Robinson.
Allen
Allen
Robinson.
Robinson.
He's a proven vet.
Right.
Better than Hayward Bay when they got him, for God's sakes.
Right.
He wasn't that great.
Right.
And who knows about, Calvin Austin III.
Right.
I mean, he might be he's
CA3.
he's fast, but we don't know if he's actually any good or not.
well,
So I think when you can name 4 wide receivers on your core, I think you can say that they're a good core. And actually, I named 5 if you're going to count the tight
yeah.
end.
Okay. So let me go down the list. Freiermuth, average. Deontay Johnson, to me, garbage.
Wow.
He didn't catch a touchdown last year.
Well,
Find a receiver that had 86 catches because that's how many.
It was a record.
Right. He didn't catch a friggin' touchdown.
No.
What do you want? He set a record.
Okay, great. I just this is me, and you know me. I want the Steelers to win.
I get it.
I'm the world's biggest Kenny Pickett fan.
In love with him.
And
They only had 12
be
passing
still my beating
touchdowns
heart. Yeah,
all season. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
I get
the
it,
fact that he didn't catch one isn't too surprising.
and that goes to my point even more. Maybe the
32nd in the league.
Deontay Johnson to me is garbage, okay, because he's not interested in winning. He's interested in catching a lot of balls and explaining to people why he's the best receiver in the league.
Well, I
when he's
can
not
tell
even
you the
close.
Steelers want him on the team. Otherwise, they wouldn't have signed him.
Well,
to the
they were right. I
extension.
get it. I totally get it. We got a comment coming in here. I hope it's a good one. Deontay stinks, says Amy May. I don't know how to spell his name. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We got the point.
Definitely got the point.
Yeah,
Deontay
let's put that up
stinks.
there. You're right, Amy May. I agree.
Garbage
with you.
stinks. I think
I
she agrees
totally
with
agree
you.
with you. So, and when I say garbage, look, he caught a lot of balls, but for what the hype was around him and what he thinks he's good at, no, garbage. Pickens,
Maybe Chicago wants him.
Pickens made, yeah, maybe. I don't think he's Claypool. Well,
Actually,
it doesn't matter.
Allen Robinson III played for Chicago.
I think Claypool's already on the PUP.
yeah,
He is. Yeah,
he's an
he's
idiot.
He's starting
Total.
up camp on the PUP.
Total idiot.
Must have been all those runway.
Pickens, the jury is out. Okay, he
Yeah,
made
I agree.
some pretty incredible grabs.
He looked incredible last year.
Yeah,
but
but let's see
so
him.
did Claypool after his first year.
Let's see him run a long route. Let's see him run something inside, not outside. Let's see him stretch the field. Let's see him make those catches on a regular basis.
I agree.
Calvin Austin III, no clue.
CA3.
And Allen Allen Robinson, veteran on his way down. I mean, that's just the way it works. My buddy Jeff.
I mostly agree with what you're saying. I don't think Deontay is garbage. I don't think he stinks. I think anybody who catches 85 balls when Pickett, a rookie quarterback, is throwing to them is somebody who can keep the wide receiver core intact. meaning when you need to throw to somebody on 3rd down and 6, he's your guy.
Okay.
And every team has a guy like that, and that's his role on this team now.
The problem when you throw to somebody like him on 3rd down is 6 is he gets you 4 yards after he caught it 8 yards past.
Well, right. He would have to run a
issue.
10-yard pattern,
Right.
because he's going to run 4
back.
yards backyard and then dive for the 1st down.
And my buddy Jeff in York says wide receivers are all average. I agree, Chris. Now, that's not to say that George Pickens, right. What would be now? There's a difference between where they are and what are the expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I expect George Pickens to take many steps forward this year. I expect him to emerge as the number 1 wide receiver. I
think he already is the number 1 wide receiver.
Right. And Jeff must have come late to the show. Some of that is Canada. We agree, but we've decided not to mention that name in the show.
we're not going to talk about Canada
hurts.
until we absolutely have to.
It makes my brain hurt.
Jet sweep.
And
you're going to have to record that.
I am going to record that one.
Yeah.
We're going to have a session where we do that probably next time around. So
40-04.
So my expectation of the Steelers wide receiver core is that we see some maturity from Pickens.
Definitely.
We see Deontay, and in all truth, we see Deontay. It's so simple. Learn to catch the ball on the run and just move forward. Honest to God, if he had done that,
I agree.
3 or 4 catches last year, he could have broken some open instead of doing that little spin move. Freiermuth, I am not convinced that he can be anything but an average tight end. I'm just not.
Define average.
Pretty much where he is right now.
How many catches? 50 catches, 700 yards,
35 to 40.
Yeah, he'll do better than that.
You think so?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Here's the guy.
He'll have between 45 and 55 catches. He'll catch 4 touchdowns, and he will catch for somewhere between 550 and 622 yards.
Excellent. And you can put it like the White Sox announcers say, you can put it on the board.
Hey, by the way, did you know that?
Remember that?
I looked up some stats for the Steelers offense last year in their horrific, standings and things.
Yeah.
Did you know that they were actually in 1st place in a category?
What was that?
Fumbles.
Disappointment.
It was not. Disappointment was not a category, but if it was, they would have won that one. Yeah.
Right.
No, it was actually number of plays, average plays per drive. They actually keep track of that.
That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me.
It was 6.51. And that was 1st place.
DG says, I think Freiermuth can catch. He's not a great blocker, but he can catch.
He's a terrible blocker.
I get it.
Right.
I don't think he can run routes real well, though. I just don't.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he can.
Him and Kenny, they're going to be
Well,
locked in.
That would be bad, I think, to be honest with you. I
mean, if they're allowed to
he's an outlet, then that makes him an outlet. He's not running a long pattern.
No, the outlet is Deontay short, Freiermuth long. So
now see what happens.
Decisions.
Now see what happens. Camp hasn't even started yet, football, and we're amped up. So okay, I want to bring up this one name and then continue on with your.
I want to throw some deep balls to CA3.
Then how deep?
How deep do your balls go?
How deep would you like those balls to go, Schwaber?
What am I talking to? A bunch of circus clowns?
Yes.
I think we've already established that many shows ago.
Oh my God. Okay. Here's the guy that I think could make a huge difference.
All right, let's hear it.
He's a tight end, and his name's Darnell Washington. Now, I know, and they were talking about it today. I know the guy's huge. He's a blocker, and that could help the running game a lot. Plus the line.
So can actually a real line.
I'm telling you right now, this guy. I'm telling you, he is so huge, and throw it to him. He's the guy that I think nobody is talking about. And I heard somebody say today, they're saying he might not even start. He might not even make the field. That's complete bullshit. They'll
have a package.
This 6 foot, what is he? 6'7", 290 pounds, and he runs like a 4.6 40.
He's a beast of a man.
I mean, come on, get him into the offense. You want to talk about worrying people, running people over. This guy's going to do it.
He looks big amongst other football players.
Yeah, he looks like he's the biggest guy on the field.
That's all you have to say.
Yeah, I think there's something there. Plus if you want an outlet, all Kenny has to do is throw the ball up wherever he is, and he's just going to grab it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, hey,
I
whatever
think
it
there's
takes.
a surprise coming. I really do. I think they're downplaying his camp and his workouts. I think they're downplaying that whole thing. And I would be shocked if he wasn't a much bigger part of this offense just because of how big he is for his position.
Yeah, it will be that. That's actually an excellent point. I didn't think about that, but I think that is another person to look out for. I think as the season moves on, because I don't think Canada is going to have something right away. They're going to have a package. I just don't.
Well,
I don't.
Once again,
I don't feel like that's going to be right out of the gate. But it could be one of those things like mid-season or maybe by like 6th week. They've got something in there for him.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense.
Yeah,
and obviously
he'll be lucky to get the 20 catches and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's the problem, and that's the thing. We can't talk about anything without the underlying current of Matt Canada sucks.
Well,
it sucks.
It's true though, because I think it also goes for the receivers. The receivers, like I would put them now at, I'd say putting them at a B would be an optimistic grade.
Generous. Yeah.
But it could be an A- if Kenny Pickett's really good this year.
Well, yeah. A lot of it relies on him, for sure. But I don't think you can say, well, he didn't really have anybody to throw the ball to.
No, he has enough people to throw the ball to.
So that's why I think more of the onus is on him. But everybody wants to downplay the Kenny Pickett hype because they're afraid if you put too much pressure on him, he's going to crack.
No, just let him throw.
And his small hands are going to fumble the ball.
Yeah. It's me every weekend. All right. So training camp right around the corner. Okay. Let's move on. What was next on your list?
I just had some interesting statistics, I think, for the offense and actually the defense too. Well, I didn't really do the defense just because everybody thinks the defense is great. I'll tackle that next week. But I think with the offense, the thing that was interesting to me was that the Steelers actually in pass attempts last year, they were like middle of the pack. They were 16th. And I wouldn't have thought that about the Steelers. You know what I mean? Like if you would have told me how many times did they throw the ball, I'd be like, they barely even threw the ball at all.
Feels like it.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's also how many were short.
Jet sweep.
Within 10 yards or 15 yards.
Well, right. So yards per attempt, they were 25th in the league. So they were definitely near the bottom. And that was only like 5.6 yards per attempt. And that's garbage. But and everybody knows this, but the passing touchdowns are the big thing for me.
Right.
12 passing touchdowns in a season. I mean, that's everybody, right? That's not just Pickett, because I think Pickett only threw 7. But that's just ridiculous. Like, you can't have an NFL football team that has less than 20 touchdown passes.
Well, that's they play 17 games.
I know.
So there were games that went by where they did not throw a touchdown pass.
Kenny Pickett has yet to throw 2 touchdown passes in a game yet.
Yeah.
And so that's what I look at. The yards, they threw for over 5,400 yards, but that was only 23rd in the league last year. Their scoring points has to amp up. And the thing that actually surprised me the most was where they had this statistic where they start their average starting point, and it was like on the 24-yard line.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. So that also leads me to believe like they need to do something about their special teams, because either that or their defense needs to stop teams more, because they're punting it to the point where they're
they need to stop them in the other team's part of the field.
Yeah, if you have a really good defense, then you think, okay, well, you're keeping them back, and then maybe you're starting on the 35 or the 40, and you got a shortened field. That makes it better for the offense. But that's not really what the defense is doing. They're not really stopping teams, 3 and out.
Yeah,
they're
if you think about it, 70% of kickoffs go into the end zone. So they were worse than coming out to the 25.
Yeah, actually, I'm slightly wrong on that. They were 24th in the league, and it was at 27.3, but still 27 yards.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a few yards difference. So yeah, I was surprised by that. And the other thing was their average drive, they would hold the ball for 3 minutes and 2 seconds. But I think that's just the consequence of the fact that they run the ball a lot.
Right.
So the clock's just moving.
And they didn't throw the ball long, so they probably do have a number of drives that have a lot of plays.
Yeah, and remember, I think it was against the Eagles. They had the ball for like 35 or 37 minutes, and they got outscored by the Eagles dramatically. And in fact, the Eagles never had a play inside the 20, and they had 5 touchdowns. right. So I mean, that's the kind of offense you need to really think about getting to. I understand that, with a rookie quarterback last year, maybe you don't want to try and do too much, but at some point he's a first round pick. You got to give him the controls of this offense and let him go.
I 100% I agree with you. I think he also needs to be allowed to switch the play at the line of scrimmage. And I'll give you something here that I've been watching the show Quarterback on Netflix.
I haven't watched it yet, but
it's actually really good. It's
hear
really good.
Kirk Cousins got some accolades.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really good because it gives you basically from start to finish, like how these guys just live their regular lives and basically incorporate their regular life into football. And it's kind of like it's like you realize you're following these guys to work, but work happens to be I'm a huge quarterback in a huge team. You got Mahomes, then you got Cousins, and then you got Mariota, and it was by accident. But you basically you got the superstar, the uber quarterback. You got the guy who just can't, who's great. He's great. Okay. But he just can't seem to get, to the promised land.
Really nice person.
And then he's actually a great quarterback.
Everybody really likes him. I hear he's got a good personality. No, that's what I've heard from the show. People think he's a great guy.
He does have a great personality too.
His Madden rating isn't very high.
I know it should be higher, but anyway, here's the point. And then you have Mariota, who was
throwing to Justin Jefferson, however.
Oh, for God's sakes, let me get this out.
Adam Thielen.
And then you have Mariota,
Dalvin
who I totally forgot my point now. I can't even remember what the hell I was saying.
You were going to talk about Mariota, who was a promising young guy, and then he kind of went off the rails.
My point is that they got
traded, actually.
There was, he's on the Eagles now.
Great,
Falcons,
good, and subpar.
Yeah, great, good, and subpar. And what they talk about, they show this one play for Minnesota. They're down near the goal line, and you see Cousins. They have him mic'd up for all these games in ways that you didn't even realize people were mic'd up. But Cousins is like the line.
They need to sell that, by the way.
They break the huddle, and Cousins starts he kind of looks to his left, and he sees the line, and he sees the defense coming up, and all of a sudden he goes, we gotta go, and then he hikes the ball and he throws a touchdown, and it's like you're like, oh my God.
Jefferson.
Well, what happened is he recognized after that play, he said he recognized as the defense was coming out that they were coming out in man, and he said, while I was calling the play, all I could think to myself was, oh God, let these guys come out in man because we got them set cold.
Yeah.
And so he, out of the corner of his eye, he recognized it, and he's like, we got to hurry up before they adjust their defense. So that his team heard him, he ran up and bang, hiked the ball right away, and it played perfectly.
Yeah.
You got to let Kenny Pickett do that. The only reason now that look, Cousins is a veteran quarterback. Okay, so he's gonna recognize this sooner. But if you don't give a guy like Kenny Pickett, who can learn, he's a smart guy.
Maybe
if you don't give him a chance, he can. If you don't give him a chance to change that call or to recognize things, if you force him to go to the line and go through the snap count, you might as well kiss the season goodbye again, because it's going to be the same Canada bullshit.
Yeah, your leader on your offense has to be your quarterback.
Right.
They have to recognize stuff like that. I'm definitely going to watch that quarterback. I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, and listen, these guys have to be super. I mean, we all know that quarterbacks are supposed to be really smart and well educated and all that kind of stuff because of the
education,
the complex. He's just good for comments during the show. He's like, yeah, but
he's right though.
The complexity of the plays they call and how they change them.
Yeah,
like these guys don't go home from a game and like party. They go home from the game and they start. Some do. They're the ones that fail. They go home from a game and they start studying for the next game. Like it is insane.
Maybe for the kids.
Well, look, there's a reason Jamarcus Russell There's a reason Jamarcus Russell flamed out right away. It's because he had all the talent physically, but he didn't want to do the work.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm
it is.
like that some days at work.
So now you haven't watched.
I would not want a camera following me around. Would you want a camera following you around from work, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Every day.
He would enjoy it.
Come home, the lovely Amy May.
He would enjoy it.
I would not.
Yeah. And it, like walk in and then you would hear, Mark, hello, Mark. It's so good to see you. You're home.
She doesn't
Thank
talk
you
like
so
that.
much.
Amy May, send a trashing comment to the jaggle of a man.
How was your day, sweetie? Bella missed you.
Well, that's
Look,
true.
she's running up. Oops, she pooped on your shoe. I'm sorry.
Bella would never do that.
No, Bella is the heart and soul of our family.
That is true. There is some truth in that.
Oh my God. So next time around, we'll do what's the word? Imitations. Not imitations
of our wives.
Of our wives.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
sounds terrible.
Yeah.
You can only do them if they're good.
No way, man. Seriously.
That was a pathetic
Oh,
imitation.
Mark, I love you so much. You're the most incredible man. I can't believe it. You're just wonderful. You take care of me. You make my life worth living.
Can we talk about a little hockey now?
Right. Or should we do the LK imitation?
Go ahead, lay it on me. Just off the top of your head, you got one?
Stop freaking bothering me.
There you go. Yeah.
That actually was pretty good.
Yeah. What the hell is this? I hope she doesn't listen to the show. She never listens to the show.
No,
Okay.
she just sponsors us.
All right. Real quick, 5 minutes of hockey. Go for it.
5 minutes? No, I can do it in less than 5 minutes.
I don't care how long.
The only thing going on with hockey now is the Carlson sweepstakes. And it looks like Carolina's definitely out. Looks like they're going to be signing Tony DeAngelo.
Tony DeAngelo, former Philadelphia Flyer.
Yep, probably a Guido from down South Philly, I'm thinking.
Are you allowed to say Guido anymore?
Well, I did.
On internet radio, you can.
Actually, before
I'm a Guido. I can say
before he was a Flyer, he was also
you're a Polak. You're
known
not a
as
Guido.
I'm both.
Are you?
I'm a Polish
Guido.
That explains a lot.
Sorry, Schwaber. Go ahead. Get it. I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead and say what you planned on saying.
Actually, I think he played for Carolina before he played for
Can I get you some
Philadelphia.
chips and salsa before this?
I would love some chips and salsa.
Yeah,
I'm
Mark
sure
is a big chips and
you don't
salsa
get
fan.
me any freaking food. You have to bring my own food. It's
That is
ridiculous.
true.
Look at the lack of hospitality.
Come on, there are always some crackers in that
bunch of
pantry.
garbage.
Yeah.
It's garbage house.
All right.
All you got in the fridge is water.
Yeah, well, that's all I drink. Bella is very unhappy with that impression, and so am I. The property diva says this when she gets home. Chris, did you do anything today besides watch TV?
Nice.
Get out in that yard and pick up Miss Daddy's poo. I love it.
go.
Thank you, Amy May.
Nice.
That was fantastic.
Miss Sassy.
Yes.
Yes.
DG says, "What's the latest on Carlson's rumors?"
We're getting to that, but I want to hear. I want to hear the scoop on Tony DeAngelo.
Yeah. Prior to him even coming to the Flyers, he was known as a bad egg.
Yeah, and I think he actually came from Carolina to the Flyers. So he's going back to Carolina, which makes some sense. But it also means
said some racist things.
Oh, this is the DeAngelo guy.
Probably woke to you.
Yeah. Said some. Here we go.
The bottom line is, since they're going that way, that means they're not going to be in the Carlson sweepstakes, which we kind of knew. But what we did figure out was, it doesn't look like the Penguins do want to give up Pettersson in the trade, and that's why it's kind of being held up, because they think they can get Carlson without giving up Pettersson. Seems like Sullivan's kind of stuck on wanting to have Pettersson also in the mix of their defense, which we could probably talk about for a little bit.
So let me see if I get this straight. It seems like the Penguins don't want to give up Pettersson.
So what they San Jose loves Petrie, so Petrie's going to be gone most likely. There'll be at least a number one draft pick, your first round draft pick, probably next year's. We'll send them. There was talk of maybe 2 first round picks, but I don't believe they give up 2. I think they give up 1. They're going to retain some of his salary. He's at $11.5 million. So the figure I heard was around $9 million that would come. So they would keep about $2.5 million.
Right.
And I think what happens is that the Penguins still have to dump some salary. So Granlund somehow has to go somewhere. And what I heard was they want like somebody like O'Connor or a younger guy to also come over, and Pettersson. I don't think they'll give up that much. To me, that seems like a little much to give up. Definitely Petrie. Honestly, I wouldn't mind giving away Pettersson. I know I'm probably in the minority with that because people love Pettersson because he had a great year last year. But the bottom line is the Penguins are a much better team with Karlsson, even without Pettersson. But they would have to replace him because they don't have really anybody on the left-hand side. But they do have some good young left-handed defensemen they could bring up. Ty Smith's one. They got Will Butcher, who also could play. But we know Sullivan doesn't like to play the young guys. And that's the problem. I think that's ultimately what's holding up the trade. I did also hear that Seattle's still in the mix and
the Kraken,
So,
Toronto.
is this the longest trade in history? I mean, it seems like things like this get sorted out a lot faster.
No, because he's under contract now, and he's under contract for a long time, so he doesn't even have to be traded.
Right. So they can wait it out as long as they want.
Yeah, but
he wants to be traded, though.
Yeah,
right?
he wants out. He'll be a headache for San Jose, and they just want to move on from him at this point, and they're just trying to get as much as they can. So I don't blame them. And if they did bring Seattle into the mix in Toronto, I don't even see how Toronto can be in the mix, by the way. They're already $11 million over the cap. So I don't know how they can afford to do that unless they trade somebody like Nylander or somebody like that, who has a pretty hefty contract. And that would probably actually be better for San Jose if they got a young scoring winger like Nylander. So stay tuned. I'm not happy about the fact that Toronto and Seattle are still in the mix. I thought the Penguins would be the last team standing. If they're in the mix, that could be a problem for the Penguins. I thought it would be a done deal when Carolina got out, and they got out today. But if those other two teams are in, it could be a problem.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could say Peterson instead of Pettersson?
Well, he has two T's.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. That's why you say Pettersson.
So you got to slow it down a little bit because there's
Peterson to me is like would be with a D. Pettersson.
All right. Well, I'm glad we figured that out. Okay.
So there you go. That's your little bit of hockey in the middle of July.
All right. And just a reminder, when the season fires back up, the Hockey Jesus will preach on the podcast, on the Sports Porch podcast after every Penguins game.
Every game.
And you can catch it on the Sports Porch podcast on the iHeartRadio app or anywhere you get your podcasts.
Anywhere you get your freaking podcast.
Anywhere you get your freaking podcast. All right, guys.
It's over.
It is so. Oh, thank goodness. Now I have to go face the wrath of Amy. Son of a gun.
Hey, I'll be on vacation next week, so enjoy the show without me.
No, you'll be chiming in from the beaches.
I may have a little
Oh God, that's when we're going to do our Susan impression.
Okay.
That's when
that'll be good.
Okay, guys, thank you for watching the Sports Porch podcast all over social media on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and that other place, LinkedIn. Then remember to subscribe to us on the podcast, the Sports Porch podcast, on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. And you can always feel better about yourself if you visit us at theporcheslive.com, theporcheslive.com.
Theporcheslive.com. Go now.